You know what we should try? An icebreaker.
We know you're busy with your clothing company, Evie's 4 Hearts, but we've got a serious question to ask you. Why is it that Mal can use magic, but you can't? Sure, Mal's parents are a lot more magical than your own, but doesn't your mom have special abilities too? She could turn herself into a mean old witch in the blink of an eye and brew poisonous apples like it's nobody's business.
How am I?
So what's up with that, Evie? Mal might be the most powerful person in Aradan, but that shouldn't stop others from using magic too. Evie's heritage is magical, so where are her powers and why isn't she using them? Watch until the end to find out why being friends with Mal prevents Evie from having powers.
I thought you were gonna stand up for the VKs. But instead you lied to them.
We may call her the evil queen, but Evie from Disney's Descendants calls her mom. She's everything a mother isn't supposed to be, but Evie loves her just the same. In the end, the evil queen just wants what's best for her daughter and herself. She wants to live in a glorious castle and have riches beyond her wildest dreams. The evil queen might seem a little powerless on the Isle, but she's one of the most well-known Disney villains of all time. And just like Maleficent, the evil queen has some powers of her own. She can cast spells using dark magic and witchcraft, but when it comes to her daughter, Evie, it would appear that she didn't inherit her mother's abilities. But that's not to say that Evie doesn't have any special abilities of her own. We all know that Evie is a wicked fashion designer and makeup artist.
My mom taught me how to apply blush before I could talk.
But her skills don't end there. She has enhanced intellect and a knack for chemistry, meaning that she could learn to brew potions if she wanted to. Evie didn't get a chance to practice magic on the Isle, but neither did Mal, and she went on to cast plenty of spells. Since Evie has a magical parent, many find it bizarre that she never joined forces with Mal to beat a common enemy. Mal did this with Uma in Descendants 3, but surely Evie could have helped her friend out too. Anyone who has read the Descendants novels or watched the animated short series Wicked World knows that Evie does indeed have magical powers. In fact, Evie goes as far as to call herself a witch in the books. Much like Mal, Evie memorizes her mother's spellbook and puts her magic to good use, but for some reason, Evie didn't have any powers in the Descendants movies. In Descendants Wicked World, Evie and Mal accidentally cast a spell together, just like Uma and Mal did in Descendants 3.
You caused our friends pain and fear. We've had enough. Now disappear.
As for Evie's powers, it's obvious that there are some inconsistencies. In the end, when it comes to turning books into movies, some things just don't translate well. The United States of Aradan is a magical place, so many of its inhabitants can use magic if they wish to. But that's the problem. A lot of VKs and AKs don't want to use magic. When you think about it, the only other VK who enjoys using her powers is Uma. In the first Descendants film, Evie had what was left of her mother's magic mirror, and she used it to her advantage. But after getting ratted out by Chad, Evie was nearly expelled. She stopped using magical accessories after the incident, but what about her natural-born powers? It makes total sense that Carlos and Jay don't have powers. After all, Cruella de Vil had none of her own, and neither did Jafar. But when it comes to the evil queen and her daughter, something just doesn't add up. Evie has so many talents, and one of them is designing clothes.
Is this too much or is this fabulous?
She does everything by hand, which must take a lot of time, but if Evie wanted to, she could learn how to use magic to design her outfits. Since she was born with a magic touch, learning spells would be a breeze. It's easy for Evie to live without magic since she grew up without it, but it's almost as if Evie has an aversion to spells. One of the reasons why Evie doesn't use magic has everything to do with her status. She'd been given a huge opportunity when she was chosen to attend Aradan Prep, and after realizing how much Aradan meant to her, Evie didn't want to put her new life in jeopardy. But there's a reason why Evie uses magic in the Descendants novels and not the movies, and it has to do with Mal. But before we spill all the details, it's worth mentioning that Evie doesn't love magic as much as Mal does, and that has everything to do with how she was brought up. Whereas Maleficent taught Mal everything she needed to know about magic and spells, the evil queen focused on beauty and etiquette. Evie didn't feel the need to educate herself on magic because she never thought she would need to use it. Her mother had convinced her that
Find yourself a prince with a big castle and a mother-in-law wing.
And lots of mirrors.
But the real reason Evie doesn't have powers in the movies is because of Mao. The Disney Channel wanted Mao to be the main protagonist of the trilogy, but to do this, many of the VK's powers had to be dimmed down or erased. This way, fans would focus more on Mao than they did on Evie. To turn Mao into the franchise's leading lady, they had to strip Jay, Carlos, and Evie of their abilities. And that's a wrap on why Evie doesn't have any powers. If you could choose a magical ability of your own, what would it be? Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to The Things and give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. We'll see you next time.